Hi guys, it's Kelly here, and I am back with another card for Marker Pop. I'm going to be using this cute little stamp set from Lawn Fawn called Winter Alpaca, and this mixable stencils from My Favorite Things. It's just the polka dot. I wanted my little alpacas to be in love because the sentiment that's included in the set says "Baby, it's cold outside," and that song's about a couple, hunkering down and hanging out. So in order to create my second alpaca, I just have some leftover packaging, just clear plastic, and I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and because it's Copic friendly. So then you just stamp on the acetate and then turn it around. Don't rub it like you're stamping with the acetate. Don't rub it, just pat it. Even though it's not going to give that dark of an impression, we can fix it. We're going to go back in with a journaling pen, Copic multi-liner, whatever you have that's Copic friendly, and just re-outline that image. And this is just, it's a really fun way to get more out of your stamps. I've done this numerous times, and there's multiple videos out there on how to do this. So I'm just going to re-outline the image so that it matches. And then I didn't show it, but I did outline the other alpaca I stamped after I was done coloring so that the blacks matched. So once I'm done doing this, I'm going to go ahead and go in with my Copic markers. I really wanted them to look like they were furry, like fuzzy, like full coat alpacas. And I did use a journaling pen to add in a bit more detail on their scarves just for something fun, since the alpacas are pretty much going to be one color. And I chose, that's not a word, guys. It's not. I chose warm and cool grays to do my alpacas. That way it wouldn't be competing with any of the colors. So I thought I was going to be just using two, the C1 and the C3. I ended up picking up the C5 at some point because I just didn't feel like I was getting good shading in certain areas. So I'm laying down my lightest color. That's how I always start my Copic coloring. And then on the body, I'm going in and adding in these little C's, these little half moons. And that's going to give the impression of full fur, so that they are big, fluffy alpacas. And if you extend the shadows out, like the way that the stamp is drawn, it has those little humps for the fur. If you extend out past those little humps with your darkest color, it makes them appear to be fuller. It gives them more definition. So once I'm done with that C3, I'm going to go back in with my C1 and just kind of blend everything out. And here's where I figure out that those legs just are not dark enough. So I need to make the two back legs and behind the ear a little bit darker so they genuinely look like they fall behind the other. I also wanted to do some shading on their faces, but not too much. I wanted him to be the appearance of white. So I added just a little bit, and then I'm going in with a R20 and giving him some blush cheeks because, baby, it's cold outside. So in order to blend that out, I didn't want to add any more shading to the snout, so I just used my colorless blender to blend it. And then I'm going to go in with the second one with the warm grays. I'm going to do the same thing. But this time I know that I'm going to need that W5 for the back legs behind the ear. So I'm doing the same thing, starting with my lightest color, laying it down where I want my shadows to be. And then I'll go back and, no, what am I doing? I'm going to go in with my medium color. No matter how many times you say this, you can still mess it up. Did you know that? Did you know? Oh, yeah, I'm learning it. I'm learning it real good. I am. So I'm just extending those lines, and then going, back around where the scarf would be. That's where, some darker shading would be, and then adding it to the half moons to make them look nice and fluffy. And I didn't show the coloring on the scarves. It was just such a tiny area. It was really minimal coloring, but I did use some BGs, some YRs, and some Rs. So just mixing it up. And I wanted a more fall, I like bright colors, so it's hard for me to use fall colors, but I tried to go with something that had a more fall feel to it. And again, blushing the cheeks, doing some shading on the face to blend that out. And then I fussy cut them out. There are dies that come with this. I prefer to cut right up into the black edge, but you do whatever works for you. Excuse me. Sorry, apparently I'm going to lose my voice. So I fussy cut those out, and then I went around the edges with a Memento Tuxedo Black marker and just cleaned them up a little bit. This is how I do all of my stencils. I use Tombow multi-glue, and I add it to the back of my stencils. I wait for it to dry, and then I run my hands over it a bunch of times, and that way I don't have to tape it down, hold it in place with my hand, worry about it moving on me. It stays exactly where I want it to. I'm going to go in with some Distress ink, and I'm going to blot it off first because I'm going for a softer look, and I can't come in from the edges because I'm trying to go out from the middle. So I'm starting with Ripe Persimmon, and I did time lapse it, so it's going to look like I never used anything else but Ripe Persimmon, but it's because the Abandoned Coral was so strong, it just took that orange right out. So I had to go back in with it, and then I also used Abandoned Coral and Peacock Feathers. If there's any stickies left on my paper from my mask, I just go in with a white eraser, clean those up, and we're good to go. This card gave me nothing but problems, let me tell you. So my original concept was I was going to put the alpacas, I was going to pop them up on foam, put the little heart, and I was going to do a heat embossed sentiment on black paper. I tried this. I didn't like it. So I just switched it up, just switched up the game plan. I stamped some hearts, and then I went in and did just some quick Copic coloring with the same reds I used on the scarf. And here you'll see that sentiment. I don't like it. So I'm going to go in with the Peekaboo die from My Favorite Things. I just felt like the background was competing for attention with the alpacas, and I didn't want that. So I cut that out. This is such a fun die. Oh my goodness. Like, it's just so cute, and it leaves that little stitch edge. I adore it. So I pulled out some Basil cardstock in Candy Necklace to play off the blue-greens that I used, and I decided to trim it down. It wasn't really working just as a flat white panel. So I finger stamped, because I'm lazy, finger stamped some little hearts. I trimmed those out so that the hearts would cascade down into, or in between my alpacas. And I decided that I was just going to stamp, sorry about my head there, stamp my sentiment right onto my card base. Now the sentiment is kind of long, so I didn't have enough room, so I had to stagger it. I'm going to fill in those spots with some sequins at the end of it. So I wanted to pop this up. I used just Craft Fun Foam, cut my pieces, adhered that down. And before I adhered it to the actual card panel, I set it in place and then glued in my alpacas and my hearts. So I knew what the placement would be, and then I wouldn't have to fight trying to slide them underneath the Fun Foam, because that can be a pain sometimes. So we're going to go ahead and adhere that down. And then I'm just going to add a few clear sequins from Pretty Pink Posh. And that's pretty much the card. So thank you for joining me, and I hope that you'll, if you're watching on YouTube, come over and visit the Marker Pop blog. They got lots of fun stuff going on. And have a good day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.